Finally, the day came and Samsung has just unveiled the new Galaxy S24 series, which again, as it has for several years, includes 3 members: Galaxy S24, Galaxy S24 Plus, and Galaxy S24 Ultra. In this video, I will tell you about all their new features. Let's get started. Let's start by talking about Galaxy S24 and Galaxy S24 Plus, which share several features. And in a moment, we will talk about the Ultra model. At the design level, we will not find major aesthetic changes, but the most important, without a doubt, will be the reduction in the size of the bezels, something that was totally necessary to look like a premium device. Another change will also be that they are devices that look thinner and the shape of the frame looks a little different, straighter. In both cases, the glass is Gorilla Glass Victus 2, being the same as the last generation. These models are available in onyx black, marble gray, cobalt violet, and amber yellow. Personally, the one I like the most is the gray. The violet brings back slight memories of the Galaxy S21, but it's a bit darker. Regarding the screen, we will also find improvements. Both models keep the same size as last generation, that is 6.2 and 6.7 inches respectively. But now we are talking about screens that reach a maximum peak of 2600 nits, so they are extremely bright displays compared to the last generation. They also integrate LTPO technology to be able to range from 1 to 120 Hz, unlike the last generation, which started from 48. But a significant improvement unique to the Galaxy S24 Plus is an increase in resolution to Quad HD+, making it one of the phones with the highest pixel density on the market. In the photographic section, there are no surprises for these models. 13mm ultra-wide camera with f2.2 aperture and a 12-megapixel sensor. Main camera of 24mm with aperture f1.8 and a 50-megapixel sensor. And finally, the telephoto camera of 70mm, that is optical sum 3 equis with aperture f2.2 and a 12-megapixel sensor. So they have exactly the same cameras as the last generation, something that angers us very much and we consider unacceptable. There are several things Samsung could improve on with respect to the cameras, such as sensor size or aperture, but they seem to be very comfortable so far, and we hope that in the next generation they will finally decide to improve something here. Similarly, the front camera of both models remains with 12 megapixels and f2.2 aperture, just like last generation. Despite maintaining the same specifications in the cameras, it is expected that there will be an improvement in the results due to the new processors and artificial intelligence, although this will have to be checked later in our review or comparisons. In battery, we see a slight improvement for the Galaxy S24 that goes from 3900 to 4000 milliamps, while the Galaxy S24 Plus goes from 4700 to 4900 milliamps, and also through software we will find improvements with a new intelligent charging mode in charging. Again, there are no surprises or improvements as Galaxy S24 supports 25 watts and S24 Plus supports 45 watts. And remember that the charger is sold separately, something that continues to annoy us. They keep the same wireless charging and reversible wireless charging, so we feel little improvement in this aspect. Samsung has decided to focus its improvements in the software section with several artificial intelligence features that I will tell you more about later when describing the Ultra model. To finish with these devices, the performance section will be controversial because it officially returns an Exynos processor. I do not want to judge it before testing, but it will surely cause annoyance in many. Both Galaxy S24 and Galaxy S24 Plus will arrive exclusively with this new Exynos 2400 worldwide. So let's test it out in a subsequent review. Both will feature a bigger vapor chamber to cool this chip. In the case of Galaxy S24, its vapor chamber is 1.5 times bigger, while in Galaxy S24 Plus, it is 1.6 times bigger. Pitifully, the base unit starts at 128 gigabytes of storage with 8 gigabytes of RAM, but will go up to 512 gigabytes in its highest version. Finally, it was time to find out what's new on the Galaxy S24 Ultra, which is the device on which Samsung has focused the most improvements. To begin with, in terms of design, you will notice a change in the screen that was previously curved and is now flat. Although little by little, Samsung had already made the curvature of the screen more subtle. In this case, it has been completely removed, leaving only the traditional 2.5 curvature of most smartphones for comfortable sliding with your fingers. A second design change will be the incorporation of titanium in the frames following the trend of the iPhone so as not to be left behind. Therefore, the colors in which they will be available will be titanium black, titanium gray, titanium violet, and titanium yellow. Unlike the smaller siblings, this model features Gorilla Glass armor. This glass is the latest and has good improvements because in addition to being 4 times more resistant, it also prevents reflections by 75%. So it greatly improves visibility. By the way, this screen maintains the same size and refresh rate as the last generation, but the resolution changes slightly due to the transition from a curved screen to a flat screen, being 3120 by 1440 pixels. And with this, it becomes one of the devices with the highest pixel density in the market. In addition, its peak brightness also reaches 2600 nits. In the camera, we will also find important changes. Although the front camera is still 12 megapixels with f-aperture 2.2, but in the back we will find 13mm ultra-wide camera with f-aperture 2.2 and 12 megapixels in its sensor. Then 24mm camera with aperture f1.7 and 200 megapixels on its sensor, and thanks to a cut in this sensor have a virtual camera of 50mm, i.e. zoom 2x with optical quality, and then we will find another physical camera of 70mm, I-zoom 3x optical with aperture f2.4 and 10 megapixels on its sensor, just like the last generation. The main change, and one that may be very controversial for many, will be the periscope camera, which now has a 5x optical zoom, while the last generation was 10x. But not everything is about the zoom, because despite decreasing the scope of the lens, they have improved the aperture, which was previously f4.9. That is a poorly lit lens that suffered greatly in low light conditions, and now the aperture is f3.4, having a greater light input. And that is why it is expected that the results are better, although it could have been better as f2.8 that has the iPhone. However, it has an optical stabilizer twice as wide, and with these changes, they expect zoom photographs in low light conditions to be much improved. Also previously, the sensor used in the periscope camera was 10 megapixels, whereas now it has gone up to 50 megapixels. So again, through a cutout in the sensor, they have a sort of virtual camera with zoom 10x optical quality. It will be very interesting to compare it against the iPhone 15 Pro Max, which theoretically has a better lens because of its aperture, but a worse sensor because of its resolution. But we will do that in a few days. Despite reducing the range of the periscope lens thanks to the incorporation of a high-resolution sensor, it maintains the same 100x digital zoom range. In addition, thanks to the new processor, it will now do multi-processing in all zoom ranges. For your reference, the Galaxy S23 Ultra did this only when you had a picture over 20x zoom. But now at all ranges, it is going to do this processing to raise the level of detail. In addition, it is now capable of recording in 4K at 120 frames per second in Pro mode, which would allow you to do cinematic style slow motion shots, and of course it also maintains support for recording video in 8K. But now the periscope lens also has the ability to record in this very high resolution. But it's not all about specs. It's time to talk about some of the artificial intelligence features Samsung has integrated into this series.
Samsung calls all of this Galaxy AI. The photo eraser is improved to remove unwanted objects from your photos or shadows. But now it also has a function to move objects within your photo in case you want to change the position for a different framing. Something we had already seen in Pixel 8 Pro and now comes to the Galaxy world.
And in videos, a novelty has also been applied, as you can now convert a normal video to slow motion simply by holding down on screen, and thanks to artificial intelligence, interpolated frames will be generated. We will check its quality later, but at first glance it looks very good. But Galaxy AI is not only limited to the camera experience, but we will also find it in other areas of the system. For example, within Samsung Notes, it will also be able to automatically format your notes. For example, it can transform long text into lists of different sizes. It also has real-time translation of calls, which is something that had already been announced previously so that language barriers are broken, and you can talk to people from other countries even without knowing their language. Currently 13 languages are supported, and surely more will be added over time. For example, you speak in Spanish and automatically the Galaxy S24 will speak English for you through the call. And if you are concerned about privacy, everything happens directly on the phone and nothing goes to the cloud. It also shows you the transcript on the screen. Using the S Pen, there is also a new feature called Circle Search that will allow you to circle whatever is on the screen, either with the S Pen or with your finger, to do an image-based search and find similar things on the internet. In the voice recorder, we also have some new features to make it capable of transcribing everything that is being recorded, even recognizing different people and tagging them. And surely little by little we will find more new features at software level, but I will tell you all the details in the review. This is just a first look. Unfortunately, it keeps the same battery and the same charging power, although it is a thinner device. So this is quite annoying. I think we would like it better if the device was just as thick or even a little thicker, but we get more battery, but it is not. We will have to keep waiting for something new until the next generation. Fortunately, this model does have the Snapdragon IJH Gen 3 processor worldwide. Although in this case, it is not a special edition by Galaxy. Its vapor chamber is 1.9 times larger than last generation, so we are looking at a major upgrade that will allow for very high performance. Let me know in the comments what you thought of these devices. For the moment, this has been all for this video, but remember that we will be generating more content around these devices soon, so make sure you are subscribed. See you next time.